Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We Are All Psychic, and today it's just me, and I do think we're all psychic. I'm shaking my head. I'm so sure I'm shaking my head left to right. I don't mean it at all. I mean it totally, completely, and I'm shaking my head. Isn't that like a subconsciously, I really don't believe myself when I'm shaking my head and saying yes? I think it's something like that. That's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the normalized weird. That's what I'm naming this podcast, the normalized weird. And basically, I want to talk about 10 everyday things that I thought up that happen to pretty much all of us, we could say, and at least the people I've talked to on the podcast. These are examples that have been used. And all the guests or co-host guests and co-host Misty when she worked with me, everybody would agree on these as like things that happen all the time, but you just don't think about it. And they're psychic things that happen all the time to everybody, or not, maybe not all the time to everybody, but it happens a lot. So much that it's weird that it even happens at all. But for it to happen like over and over again, and for most of us, when these 10 things that I thought about happen, we don't think about it. We don't think of it as anything at all. But I think of it as a psychic experience. So the first one I have written down is when, and this is one of our favorites to use in the podcast, is when you think of somebody and then they call you or they text you or they send you an email or something like that, or you run into them. That's really, really weird. You're thinking about them and you run into them if you're out running errands or something. That's really strange. But the most common I've heard is the phone call one from when I was growing up. Oh, I thought of you and you just called me, Brandon. You know, it's like stuff like that. It'd be crazy. And so I think everybody we've talked to on the podcast, they get that one. They'll say, yeah, that I've had that happen. And I think that one kind of goes along with hearing your mom calling your name. That's a little bit, I mean, I think everyone's had that happen. We've talked to anyway. Most of the people I've talked to in my life, I've said, have you ever had this happen? They say yes. They say, yes, I've heard that. Like, for example, you will be sitting at, like in your mom, and maybe in your mom's house. And usually this happens when we're children, like, before we're 10 or maybe around puberty, even in the high school years. We'll hear our moms calling our names and they're not even home. And we don't even think about it after a while. It happens. The first time it happened to me, I did go look for my mom and I didn't find her. And then I just, okay, I guess it's just something that happens sometimes. And I was a little kid. I want to say the first time it happened, I was in Chattanooga, and that was between the ages of 6 and 9, I think, or 5 and 6 and 9, something like that. So I think that's the first time I remember it happening. And then after that, I do remember being in my house in Decatur, Alabama in high school and it happening. And remembering the time I went looking for her and thinking, oh, it's just like that. I just remember those two memories of it happening, but it happened a lot. I'd hear my mom call and I'd be like, oh, it's just that. Well, what is that? What is that? What is it? What is it? What is it? It doesn't mean anything. Why is it always the person's mom calling them too, and not dad? And it's not like grandma. It's always mom calling your name. It's weird. Another one I have written down for number 3 is repeating numbers. So most people will say, yeah, I've been looking for signs, or they want to start looking for signs, or if they just start seeing them randomly, they're going to be repeating numbers. And that's like blows people's minds when that happens sometimes. That's a really big wake up number thing. The numbers, it can be coming in like waking you up, like they say, we're making you remember. As other people say. So that the numbers are one thing that comes in and shocks a lot of people when they see the repeating numbers. They're like, why? I'm just noticing them. And they just come at the weirdest times, and they have such significance when they do show up. That's the weird thing about it. And sometimes it's like, that's impossible. You could be a statistician and you'd be like, no, that is absolutely 1.6 gigabytes, 0.2 gigawatts, times to the infinite number of somebody knows what I was trying to do there. But yeah, it's impossible. All those numbers on my gas tank dispenser line up to 1010101010. It's impossible. That doesn't happen. Stuff like that happens to me a lot. The first few times that happened, I was just like, I don't take pictures anymore. Still do sometimes if I have my phone handy, but now I'm just like, oh, I love the signs. Because, I may take the pictures, I may show them to a few people, and then I just keep them and look at them for myself or show them if I think about it, but then it fades because it happens so much. There's another one, there's another one. There's so many of them. Let's see, another one. Let's see. For number 4, I have written down for the normalized weird things that happen in everyday life that we don't think about much, really, is when animals act out of character. If we are pet owners or animal lovers, we probably can say, wow, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, if my animal's not being like my animal, something is definitely up. My animal knows me. My animal protects me. My animal, blah blah blah. My animal, my animal's smarter than me, and my animals are smarter than me, and they do protect me. So I do watch what they do, and I think they mirror people I bring in, and they like if someone doesn't want to let me know something about them, they may not come out if they're hiding something, for example. Or if they like somebody a lot, they will, like put themselves in that person's point of view and me. And if they want me to hang out with that person a lot, bring them over more, they'll get in both of our points of view. So we both can see them at the same time. It's really cool. That's an example of, or for dogs, like let's say you have a really sweet dachshund and you get your wiener dog, and you have a few of them, and maybe somebody comes in your house, and your most friendly wiener dog out of the 4 of them just suddenly isn't acting normal. Like you're kind of wondering if maybe that dog ate something or just not acting like himself. And after that person leaves, the dog goes back to being himself. So that could be, the dog was letting you know that person's not right. And if you trusted your dog and you trusted your intuition, you probably knew anyway. That was what your dog was saying. Your dog would let you know that, your dachshund. And the other 3 were probably watching him real closely, and the 4th was just sending you the message, So another example I have here for number 5. There's my Drano timer. I'll be right back. That's always number 5, change. I'm back. I cleared my drain. So I was at number 5. And one other thing I did want to add to the animals acting strangely, another thing most people have seen with their pets or animals, or even if you don't have any animals or pets, you may have seen when they just like stare at a wall or at a corner, or just really intently stare at something and nothing's there. And it's just like, and you're like, what are they looking at? And it looks really serious. And they're like almost watching something move and there's nothing there. And that happens a lot too. That's just one thing I want to point out. Like animals sometimes do. I think there's a spirit there, but I don't know. It could be a fairy. I really have no idea what's there, but it's something they do, and it's very strange. And it's just one thing. Number 5, I've got dreams, having dreams. We accept it as part of, we have to do it. We know this from scientific studies. If people don't dream, they will die. Ever. I mean, if they don't ever dream, like they go, I think it's 5 days. Most people can go without dreaming, and then they will just pass away. They'll get sick. Their immune system will collapse, is what I think I read. And the immune system goes first, and then they catch everything, and everything just, their whole body just won't work anymore. Everything just starts, the system's down. We don't know what dreams do, though. We think they have to do something with compartmentalizing our lives and making sense of it. Personally, I think the dream is a language between our soul and our conscious. I think that's the language, or the God force, and our human side, or something like that. I think it's a language. And I think we have to have that language, and that or whatever we do when we're dreaming. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if that's the real life. Don't we all? I've had those dreams. But it's not like, it is a normalized weird. It's the biggest normalized weird thing we have, I think, other than my number. Where's my number? Where's another number? Number 6, imagining. It's the next one, yes. Number 6 is imagining. Kind of goes with dreaming, which is number 5. And number 6, I put imagining because it's just our imagination. Using our imagination, daydreaming, thinking up something. I'm going to close my eyes, and I see just nothing. I see blank. Now I see green and I see a black letter E. And then I see some green checkerboards, and I'm starting to think about dinosaurs. And I'm seeing a vision now. I'm seeing like a book play out with this big T Rex walking through the woods. And his head's way up over those treetops, and he's looking for something to eat in those treetops. Okay, I'm gonna see that. You're really all red now. I don't know why I had to do that. I could have just closed my eyes. I mean, you would have believed I did not really see that. Like, oh, there's some dinosaurs. I'm looking back in time. I don't know. But I did see, good old T Rex, like just like in Jurassic Park, like they look there. But he was looking at some stuff in the treetops. I got into my imagination there. I mean, I had a good time. Look, I'm even feeling better. I went in my imagination, it made me even feel a lot better. Nothing like that place, I tell you what. And we just normalize that weird all the time. Everybody's got weird imaginary things going on, stuff all the time in our imaginations. All the time. Woo! My favorite place to be is my imagination. And I think a lot of people might say that if they really thought about it. So I said that was a normalized weird that is an everyday psychic experience. And for number 7, I have reading and writing. Now, I didn't always think this way, but I think it was Stephen King, and I'm sure maybe not. I'm not sure of anything. I think I did read the book. Well, I know I read the book on writing by Stephen King. That's something I do know I did. But I can't remember if it was in that book and he said it or if he was quoting somebody. But I think it was in that book, but I just don't know if he said it or if he was quoting somebody. But he said it's basically mind reading when you read a novel. So it's like if I did, and I have written novels. I wrote a time travel novel. If I write this novel, it was called The Message. And I give it to you, listener or watcher. This is a video on Spotify and YouTube. I give this book to you, watcher, and I say, I would think you would really like this. It's a time travel book. And then you'd be like, oh, I'm going to love this book. And you never read it. Just kidding. So you read the book and you come back and you're like, well, I like this book. And I thought this was cool and this was cool. And I was like, really? Because it wouldn't stand out to me the parts that person thought was cool, but they did read my mind because it's like mind reading when you read someone's fiction. You go live in their imagination. Right? What happens when you read a novel? When you read fiction, you just kind of go away and are there. You're living in this imaginary everywhere. It's not like a dream. It's not like intuition, fantasy, or spiritual experience. A little bit like spiritual experience. But that's why I'm saying it is like reading and writing. I wouldn't say that is a spiritual experience, but we're using some kind of psychic skill. Well, now I know we have parts of the brain that do this, that work to use language. Broca's area is the ear, I think. And the eyeball is another one for reading. Because we have 2 different parts of the brain, if I remember correctly. Like one part that hears is separate from the part that visually reads language. So I just always found it so fascinating that you can read a book and get that whole fascinating imagination, crazy other world that somebody else made up that they have in their head, and I have it in mine. I think that's so cool. That's magic. It's magic. It is telepathy, right? Almost. And then I have for number 8 something the normalized weird. I have memory written down for the normalized weird. We don't really know what our memories are for, or how they work, or why they traumatize us, or why they make some people happy, why they make some people sad. Why do they evoke weird things? Some people can be like utterly traumatized by neglect that another person survived and got strong from. For example, everybody is different how they take on what happened with their memories, how they think about their memories, how they rephrase their memories, or if they even live with their memories in their conscious presence. Oh, if you don't look at stuff you're supposed to look at as far as your soul says, you'll dream about it. That's on the list. So I think our memories are something, we can't remember the future yet. I mean, that might be something we can do someday, and maybe memory will be better understood by then, if we ever get to do that. So for number 9 of the normalized weird, or 10 everyday psychic experiences, I have music. Because music, to me, we can't put words to that experience. We can only play music together, sit and listen to music together, dance together, write together. We can just experience music on or by ourselves or with other people in a way that makes us connected. I'm even by myself listening to music, I feel connected, more connected to my cats. I feel more connected to myself, to my spirituality, to my God, to my angels, to my guards, to my guardian angel, to my guys, spirit guides, to Morgana and Sam. Everything, like music, just makes me happy. It brings me the happiest I've ever been is listening to music or dancing to music. Probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. Those are my happy times. I dance to any kind of, especially live music, but it's just music, and writing it has always been a big passion of mine too, but especially dancing to it. I think that's a psychic experience because I'm not thinking of my dance moves. It's more like chi. I'm working with chi, and I'm just like, I'm not an excellent dancer or anything, but I do love to do it. Sometimes I do, shimmy out some energy to the other dancers. Can you dance? Can you dance? Maybe they don't have to take the energy. I'm just kind of like push some out that way, see if anyone around me wants to dance. Sometimes I will. It's just an offering. That's just something I do. And for number 10 of the normalized weird, I have when we get goosebumps, we get our hair raising up, or we get chills, goosebumps, the hair on the back of our neck standing up, anything like that. When something gives us spooks. We can be in 120-degree weather and get the chills. You know what I mean? You're scary. Something scares you, something, or maybe just some people say something just walked over my grave, and that's supposed to mean that is what's giving you chills or something, or make you have the feeling of something going up your spine, like the chills going up your spine. That's another one people have. So I call that a psychic experience. We don't know what causes that. We don't even know what that is, but everybody has it happen. As far as I know, we don't know what it is. And most people associate it with a spirit being around, as far as I know. So, okay, guys. So this is just the first part of this podcast. And I did want to talk about 10 things I really felt like everybody listening or watching could relate to with this podcast. But I also did write down 10 maybe not so obvious ways that we are working with the energy, and this stuff's happening all the time. The normalized weird, more normalized weird, but it's kind of in less obvious ways that you may have thought of before. So 10 maybe not so obvious on my list of numbers. I have one, the number one. And the first one I had is ringing in the ear. This is not tinnitus. This is when I have, or you have, just that little, or real high-pitched squealy, or some kind of tone. It sounds like a tuning fork, kind of. And what I was taught that is in biology in college is that inside our ears, we have like a little ball, like a ball, a sphere. And inside the sphere are all these hairs lining it, and it's inside our inner ear, way in there. And this sphere has all these little hairs and a little ball that floats inside against all these little hairs in some liquid, and not water though. It's like a fluid of some sort. It's just very special fluid. Now, this little container of this little thing inside with the hairs and this little sphere, supposedly nothing can come in or out of it, and this is how it tells us where we're balancing from. So there goes my phone. So when you have that squealing sound, some people, scientists, presume that one of these little hairs inside the sphere is being triggered by something external, maybe a radio frequency, and it's just going off. It's just one of those little hairs makes that noise when it does its little wiggly thing, and that's what we hear. That's how we hear when these little hairs inside this inner part of the ear and this little spherical part have sound waves come in. That's how we perceive it as sound, from what I understand, and we get our balance from the little ball inside the muck with the little hairs. There's that little ball, and it's supposed to tell us if we're standing up straight or if we're upside down. And that's what it's supposed to do anyway. maybe more. But yeah, we all know we've had ear infections, like so there are ways things can get in there, but they aren't supposed to. It's supposed to be like a closed system. But that's what some people think are angels coming through to tell you, hey guys, I'm here to help you right now. So if you know your tones, you can know what angels are coming through to talk to you. Like if you had listened to the sound healing series I did, you might be able to hear some of those tones associated with angels when they're around you, like Ariel's and Uriel's, for example. I can't remember what their frequencies were that I found, or I think they're the solfeggio frequencies. But those two, for example, you would play that note, and it would resonate it with that particular. Like you play a note, like what do you call it, tuning fork of that frequency, and it would make that same little hair ring or move and make that ring sound for you or me. And if you don't have the tuning fork and you hear it, people believe that's an angel talking to you. So that's what I'm getting at. I just wrapped around, said it a different way if you didn't get it the first time, because my microphone fell over and I didn't even notice it. So it's a good thing I said it twice. Lisa. So then I hit my phone because it went off. Let me dig it back out because it has my list. Okay, my list of not so obvious normalized weird things that are actually psychic phenomena. For number 2, I have air getting colder in areas of the dead, like cemeteries and funeral homes, or even places in hospitals when someone just passed away. And as a medium, it happens to me a lot when I give medium readings. My clients might get very cold, for example. Friends not wanting to stay up talking about spirits and the microphones being a psychic podcast. You just dazzle me so. So yeah, the air does get colder sometimes. And that's something that no one really explains or cares to explain or look at or think about anymore. I mean, no one really wants to think about death much. Nobody does. It's not fun. It's not something we like to think about. Some people do, though, when they're young. They don't like it. They just get obsessed with thinking about it. And I remember being like that at some point in my life. As a teenager, I think, like, I don't know, I think all of us have a Jim Morrison in us. If you don't know what that reference is, I'm sure you do if you're listening to this podcast. But I think all of us have a little Jim Morrison phase where we really get fascinated with what death is because we have to do it, and we just like, what is it? Sometimes we just don't ever want to think about it again. So I also have people do all kinds of things with death, but a lot of times when I've been giving medium readings and suddenly the air does get colder, that person will leave. They'll be scared. I won't feel it getting colder because I'm getting colder. But they are getting air colder. And like I go down, my body temperature goes down with whatever's making the temperature go down in the room. But it might be energy cold and energy warm too. Who knows? But anyway, I want to go back to number 3 on my list of the normalized weird that maybe aren't so obvious. Seeing signs after someone you love dies. If you see like butterflies, like after my Aunt Lil died, I have seen black butterflies. In the last 3 days, I've seen about 8 black butterflies. I don't know why. And I had asked for more butterflies, so that might be why. And they are all the black ones. And they're not just here at my apartment complex where I know a couple live, because they're always on the same bush. I guess they live here, I guess. You never know, right? I see it's one of those that's me rationalizing it. It probably is an energetic experience. Probably my aunt giving me a sign, and I don't know what it is. I just can't pick up what the sign it is. It's why she keeps sending me the butterfly, I think. So, but everyone can say that's not everyone will say that happens, but a lot of people say after someone dies, they do get signs. And most often it's a butterfly or a bird, something that flies and something that can change shape, metamorphosize. If you think of a bird, it comes out of an egg, and humans don't do that really like that. No. So I have for number 4 in this list of normalized weird, it's maybe not as common, is feeling someone or something touching you but nothing's there. And you just forget about it. You feel like I always used to feel something like this. And I feel like or on my leg, I'd feel like a little like poke on my leg, on my hips, on my back. I just put pokes mostly. And then I had a psychic reader point it out to me one time, and it happened all my life, and I never even noticed until she pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh, 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 that. Oh, I never even thought about that at all. That happens all my life, and I never even thought about it. That's what that is. Oh, it's the spirits touching me. Okay. That was a big shocker. And I know it is now. When I feel it, I'm like, oh, well, that's you guys. Okay, what's up? It's really weird. But I'm so used to it, I don't usually notice it until after they've done it. So that's something that happens to me. And I would say it happens to you too. If you don't know it, try to try to notice it. Mainly, the first thing I noticed was the gentle touch on the face, the caress. Just like a gentle caress like that. And I was like, that's what that woman thought. It was really weird. So I don't know if everybody will relate to that one, but I think if you think about it, you might relate to that. For number 5 of the normalized weird, I have inspiration. Inspiration is really magical. Inspiration is great. When you get inspired, as an artist, doing artistic things at all times if I can, I love when inspiration strikes. I got the inspiration for this podcast last night, and I just wrote down some notes for the first 10. And before I did this podcast, I wrote the notes for the second 10. And I'm just, I was really inspired, and it feels great. And that comes from, I think, a divine place. I think inspiration comes from my essence, whatever that might be, my soul. My soul, there's a soul. It comes from that. My creativity. I feel great when I work with my soul and my spirituality and my creativity. I think they're all related. So what I have for number 6 in the normalized weird, maybe not as common, is the narrator, the voice in the head, the narrator, the voice that doesn't have a man. Sometimes it can be a man or a woman. Usually doesn't have a man or a woman's voice. It's just the voice in your head telling you, don't do that. Do that. Don't do that. Do that. Everybody's got the voice in their head, right? Doesn't everybody? All right. I think you know what I mean. And then I have for number 7 of the normalized weird, not as common version. Some people have the same emotional responses as I have or you have while hearing music, looking at art, or watching movies, etc., etc., etc. So let's say you and me, we're on a date. We went to go see this movie, and I paid attention to it, and we like the soundtrack, and we talk about the movie over some ice cream after the movie. And we talk about how we both got emotional over when the kid almost dies, but of course he does, and he ends up saving everybody's life and the dog, and because he saved the dog, the cat lived, because the cat, the dog saves the cat, and the cat saves the kid, and the baby just saves everybody. And so we both are feeling the feels about that, and we both got angry at the bad guy, and they thought the acting was, we both think the acting is this, but we're relating on this. We're feeling the same things, and we're different people. We're saying the same words. We feel these same things with words. We don't know. We may have different connotations to those words, but when you're talking about something and relating on something artistic, like a show or a concert or a movie or anything, art, to discuss it with someone and have an in common feeling together is really beautiful, and it happens all the time. And that's an energetic experience to me. That's not an emotional experience, I don't think. So I have for my number 7, that's 8. Number 8 now. Number 8 for this normalized weird. I have how often we don't die. And I mean, by that, I mean how often it almost happens that we die. Because think of all the times you've almost fallen off a cliff. Like, that's just, a metaphor, but you've almost had that car accident. You've almost hit that train track thing, right? Because the thing didn't go down. You almost hit the train or whatever happens. Things happen. So I had a weird experience once when I was driving, where I really should have had a car accident. I don't remember what happened. I blacked out, and the next thing I know, I was past the whole situation. I don't know how I got out of it. Really, still to this day, I have no idea. Divine intervention. Those are those things like we just don't know how they happened, and but there are also things all day long that we just don't think about, like tripping, and we didn't smash our hand into that little shard of glass an inch away from where we fell flat on our face. Yeah, we tripped, but we didn't hit that shard of glass that we didn't know was there, right? And we like gashed our hand open. So there's something keeping us from our wrist or something. We're saved all day long. It seems like, if you ask me, and I'm clumsy, maybe that's why. But I do notice, like, a lot of times I got lucky, and I think that's chi. So for my number 9. I have meeting a new person and feeling like you've known them forever. I love that feeling, like when you meet somebody for the first time and you just know. Usually it happens for me. I'll hear someone's name for the first time and I'll be like, I know that person's name. I know that person. Or I meet you and I'll be like, I feel like inside me, it's you. It's you. Feel that way. And then I'll know I'm going to know them. It's weird. I'll know I'm going to know them significantly for some reason. Or I'll know more, or I might even know like big things, but I don't usually. I usually don't. I usually just know if I feel like I have known them forever. If I feel like I feel like there's a spiritual bond is what that is to me. And that would be something I think a lot of people experience. They meet someone for the first time and like, oh, come on, we are buddies. We just are. We're soul sisters. It's like it's meant to be. That's what I'm talking about there. And I think everybody's had that experience sometime. And my number 10 of my normalized weird. This is the weirdest, probably. Love. Being in love. Imagine being in love and living with that person for like over 70 years. Can you imagine? That's like my parents. They got married at 21 and they're 76 and 77 right now. And they're still married. Oh my gosh. I think that like really sharing an intimate moment with someone of pure romantic love and pure friendship, romantic / spiritual, everything all mixed up love, just sharing that moment with someone or a lifetime with someone, that is the biggest energetic, beautiful blessing you can be given, I think, personally. And to feel that way about yourself too. And with that, listeners and watchers, I love you. I love you deeply. I love you dearly. And I love Everclear, my sponsor. Everclear is an advice app where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am an advisor on Everclear under the name Lisa Russick. And I would love to talk to you. And if you want to talk to me, I would love to talk to you. And if you don't want to talk to me, you can talk to some other wonderful advisor on Everclear. Everclear's got the best. And I mean, I call there I call there too much. It's always a good time. I always need the help, and I always get it. So, and lastly, listeners, I really do love you guys, and watchers, I love you guys too. And I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you may be out there, loving me back. Hopefully. Peace out.